everyone. I have 2 containers of water in front of me. A bottled water and a glass of water. If I gave you this to drink, would you think it's safe to drink? Sure, right? It's sealed, comes from a package, recognize the label. What if I gave you this glass of water to drink? Do you think this is safe to drink? Well, looks clean, looks good, but do you know where it came from? Does it matter? Isn't all water just water? We're going to investigate today. The question I want to ask is, if this water appears to be clean, is it really clean? Polluted water isn't just dirty, it's deadly. Some 1.8 million people die every year of diarrheal diseases like cholera. Tens of millions of others are seriously sickened by a host of water-related ailments, many of which are easily preventable. The United Nations considers universal access to clean water a basic human right and an essential step toward improving living standards worldwide. Water-poor communities are typically economically poor as well, their residents trapped in an ongoing cycle of poverty. Education suffers when sick children miss school. Economic opportunities are routinely lost due to the impacts of rampant illness and the time-consuming processes of acquiring water where it is not readily available. Children and women bear the brunt of these burdens. Water is obviously essential for hydration and for food production, but sanitation is an equally important and complementary use of water. A lack of proper sanitation services not only breeds diseases, it can rob people of their basic human dignity. As we have learned before, bacteria, virus particles, and other germs can live on our hands even though our hands seem to be clean. Here, with the use of a microscope, this cartoon illustrates how there are organisms living on the surface of our hands. The same is true for our drinking water. Even though it seems perfectly clean and perfectly clear, there is still a chance that there are organisms, possibly harmful organisms, living in our water. We just learned how important clean water really is. There are countries that have to struggle to make their water clean. Now, let's take a look somewhere else that also has a need to have clean water. The astronauts on board the International Space Station join those on Earth in the recycling effort. This recycling is different from that which may take place in your home or school. The astronauts recycle their water. This includes the moisture they exhale and the sweat, as well as the water they use to shower and shave. These wastewaters are purified and then used as drinking water. The ISS uses filtration and temperature sterilization to ensure the water is safe to drink. Water is checked often to ensure it meets the water quality requirements and monitored closely for bacteria, pollutants, and proper pH. According to the American Heritage Medical Dictionary, the pH is the level of base or acid in a liquid. pH scale ranges from 0 to 14 and is a tool used by scientists to measure the strength of an acid or a base. Proper pH balance of 7 is important to a human body. Well, that's incredible too, right? Astronauts who live on the International Space Station don't have access to unlimited water, so the water waste has to be recycled into usable water once again. Today, what we're going to do is our own engineering activity where we will build our own water filters. We will take dirty water and clean it. Let's go over what we will need for this lab. To make my dirty water, I added a little bit of Italian salad dressing mixed in with some dirt. Now this both looks bad and smells bad. Pretty obvious that it's not potable. We cannot drink this. The reason I added the salad dressing is it lowers the pH. It has vinegar in here, making it an acid. Now we remember the pH of drinking water. We want it to be as close as possible to 7. And the dirt I added just to make a little bit more emphasis on how dirty water looks like. And you can see inside of this seasoning, there are other particles that we want to be able to filter out. Looking at my 6 different items, which 3 do you think would be best for cleaning my water, for filtering my water? The filter paper, gravel, the sand, cotton balls, glass marbles, or activated charcoal. Which ones do you think would help both absorb and adsorb? We want to get the big, chunky, dirty materials out that are visible, but we also want to clean the tiny little germs that are not visible by eye. For my water filter, what I will be using is a 2-liter soda bottle with the bottom cut off. At the very top, I'm going to take a piece of cheesecloth, fold it over just once, and wrap it over the very top. Use a rubber band to secure it in place. Now my water filter will be placed upside down onto another cup that's going to catch the filtered water. And what I'm going to do is use 3 of these 6 different materials in front of me to layer inside of this water filter to clean this dirty water. Yuck. Doesn't look good, doesn't smell good. This is definitely not potable. Now the items that I have in front of me are some sand, aquarium gravel, coffee filters, cotton balls, glass marbles, activated charcoal. Now I have to see which ones are best for my water filter. Think about a water filtration system that you may have at home. I'll give you a little hint. If you have a Brita water filter, you may want to see what's in there. If you have an aquarium, what do you think is in there? That water needs to be cleaned and filtered as well. For today's lab, I'm going to use a coffee filter, activated charcoal, and gravel. In addition to choosing my materials, I also have to pick the order. What I have done today is I have placed my coffee filter at the very, very bottom. I have added some aquarium gravel as my second layer. And my final layer was the activated charcoal. Now before we test the filter, we have to make sure that water will pass through it. So I'm going to do a test with just regular clean water. Now let's see how clean our water is. I'm going to waft it, and I see that there is no odor. Appearance, it is clear. It is colorless. Any other properties? And the next thing I'm going to check for is the pH. Now remember, we want the pH to be, well, it should be close to 7 because it is clean water. And it actually looks like it is exactly 7. I'm going to take my clean water and pour it through the filter because we just want to test to make sure that the water will pass through. Here is my clean water after it's been filtered. It actually looks a little bit more gray, but let's see. There is no odor. It's still clear, but I would say a little gray. And we can talk about that at the end, why it's become gray. And I'm going to take the pH and we'll wait to see. The pH didn't drastically change to 13 or to a 2, and it's exactly a 7. What we're going to do is filter this one more time. Filter it. I'm going to take my water that I just filtered and pour it through my water filter again. Again, testing my filter, making sure that the water does pass, nothing gets stuck. And to make sure that my water is not getting significantly worse. Here is my clean water after being filtered again. Still no odor. It is still clear and still gray. And we'll test the pH one more time. All to confirm to make sure we are at 7. A little bit higher of a pH would be fine, up to pH 9. Still safe, and we're at pH 7. Before we go on, let's talk about what we've done so far. I had to pick 3 materials to layer into my filter. And I had to make sure that I pick materials that will both absorb and adsorb. I want my water, my dirty water, to be cleaned. So a material that's going to absorb and hold all the junk and let go of the clean water. And something that will absorb and keep all the yucky bacteria and smaller particles that we can't see. I ran clean water through it to make sure that my water will come through. But what you'll notice is my water actually got dirtier after it went through the filter. Or did it? It appears to be dirtier, and it is. But what I've done is actually clean my filter. I had activated charcoal. I had gravel in there. What I've done is washed my filter to wash off any excess dirt, to wash off any dirt that may be on there, so that when I run my dirty water through, only the cleanest water will come through. Now let's test our dirty water. Now my gray water before filtration, ooh, definitely has an odor. Oof, smells like garlic, smells like the earth, like dirt. The appearance, well, it is black. And let's check the pH. Got a little bit of dirt on there, but does that look like a pH of 7? No way. This is either a 3 or a 4, closer to a 4. Going to give my dirty water a mix and pour it into my water filter. Well, would you look at that? Starting to slow down a bit. We'll have to watch it for a few minutes. But look at that clean water coming out. My filter's working. Well, let's take a look after we have filtered our dirty water. Wow, that is a huge improvement. Let's check for odor. Still smells a little garlicky, but not really earthy anymore. Now the appearance, I would say kind of clear, but there are tons of tiny little particles inside of my water. Tiny black particles. But let's test the pH and see if we have improvement here. We were at a 4. I think we've gotten closer to a 5. Yep. Some improvement. Let's filter one more time. Looks like it's starting to slow down again. I'm going to pause, wait for it to all come through, and then we'll test again. Let's take a look and see what happened after the second filter. Going to smell. Doesn't smell as bad, but it still has a little bit of an odor. The appearance, well, I would say it's clear, but the black particles are gone. It's just a little bit gray. And let's check the pH. Wow, well, the pH looks so much better. It's closer to a 6 now. We went from a 4 to a 5 to a 6. Huge improvement. Today, we designed and built our very own water filter. I took dirty gray water and ran it through my filter, and I was able to get this as my product. So something I would drink, not quite, not there yet, but maybe more rounds of filtration or maybe even a better filter. And then I could get to water that would be this quality. Now let's talk about what I used in my water filter. Coffee filters, right? These coffee filters would trap anything big, the chunks, so that it could hold on to it and not let the chunks pass through. I used gravel. I called it aquarium gravel. Do you know why there's gravel inside of an aquarium? It's not just for decoration. The gravel has tiny little pores inside of it that can actually absorb particles that can stick to it and not let it pass through the filter. Now I use something that you probably haven't heard of before, activated charcoal. Activated charcoal, very similar to the gravel, but their pores are even smaller. This is going to get the tiniest of my bacteria, of my particles, of my germs that I don't want in my water, and it's going to absorb, again, the contaminants. The coffee filter will absorb the water and hold on to the particles. And these two, the gravel and the activated charcoal, are important in adsorption. If you have a Brita filter, this is what they use, activated charcoal. Now I didn't use the sand, and you would say, well, why not? Same materials, right? They are the same materials, but the sand is very fine, and it might take the water a very long time to pass through, which might not be the most efficient way to filter. I had two more items. I had these glass marbles, something else you might see inside of an aquarium, but this one just for decoration. No pores, no holes, nothing. Water would not absorb or adsorb onto these. Cotton balls. These will absorb definitely, but again, this might be too thick of a material. Similar to the sand, it would hold on to the water for a long time and making it more difficult for the water to pass through. Now, after I filtered, I did 3 tests. I did an odor test where I would waft and smell. I did an appearance test to see what does it look like. And I did a pH test to see, is the pH something that I could drink? Would I want to just drink salad dressing by itself? Oh, no way. Is this water that I'm able to drink today? No way, nowhere close. But I've gotten better. My water filter helped clean my water. Now these 3 tests are 3 tests that I could do today in my own home. But in a lab, they would be able to do much better tests to check for bacteria content and other contaminants that we don't want in our drinking water. Now, what I want you guys to do is I want you to gather materials that you may have in your home. You can use recyclables, or you may use natural materials found from your backyard or another location. You have to follow the same rules that I did. Use 3 different materials and layer them inside of your soda bottle. Make sure you take notes. At each step, check for water quality. Check for appearance and odor. Good luck.